welcome to you all on this Friday that Christians call Good. This is a week we've been doing a lot of remembering, and many of us have seen each other at some of those remembrances this week. The remembrance of the 5th anniversary of the Iraqi war and occupation. Just yesterday, the changing of the planet into the spring equinox. The Feast of Purim, the Jewish feast, I understand, starts in these days. And then Christians gather all over to remember this Friday. So it's a day of remembering. And I want to thank the Dallas area Christian Progressive Alliance to host this and invite us to come together to remember the roots of that gospel that we try to live, that we try to be followers of each day and struggle. Thanks to them for inviting us for this walk. Who speaks of the cross today as a way to change the world? But that is the way of the gospel. Jesus confronts empire. He lives truth and love in his body. He shows us a way out of an addiction, violence. He teaches us how to live and die by way of the cross through active, nonviolent resistance to institutionalized evil. Jesus healed, he fed, he taught, he befriended, he touched, he fasted, he prayed, and campaigned for peace. Yet the empire continued to oppress and to kill. So he took the long road of nonviolence, committing to truth-telling when he ordered. He gave his life to set off a disarming transformation of the world. This nonviolence is the Paschal mystery, and it continues every time we join Jesus' nonviolent struggle against empire and the culture of death, and welcome his truth and love, his reign of nonviolence. Now, these words by my friend and mentor Jesuit John Deere said well, I think what we're about to embark upon. But many of us are not as eloquent as John Deere, and often are unable to capture in words the power we feel in this Jesus that is not the Jesus that many talk of. It's not the Jesus many churches speak of. It's a different spirit. It's a different facet of this Jesus that has caused us to want to confront the voices of war. Have wanted us to confront the voices of property over human dignity. And so today I'd like to hold out to us a deconstruction of this beautiful imagery in a very concrete person. A Methodist circuit rider who was strung up on a tree just 30 miles west of here in Tarrant County near the Jacksboro Highway in the summer of 1860. And as I have been pondering the little we know of this man's life, it strikes me as someone we here in the North Texas area need to be aware of. If you, like me, are heartened by the memory of our heroes, the people that we believe followed this Jesus of liberation, the Dr. Kings, the Gandhis, the Dorothy Days, the Romeros, those people all hearten us and enlighten us and help us to keep walking the path. But we have people in midst. Anthony Bewley was born in Tennessee, 1804, born from a family. His father evidently was a preacher. In his early 20s, became a circuit rider in those hills of Tennessee. Very married Jane Winton, and the two of them continued their life as circuit riders, being sent in the Methodist Church, the Methodist Episcopal Church at that time, being sent to places in Arkansas, in Tennessee, Oklahoma. In 1845, the Methodist Church had an internal struggle that was very significant, and it was over slavery. Ultimately, the northern portion of the Methodist, which was against slavery, split from the southern section of the Methodist Church, which was the United Methodist Church. And so that internal struggle, which in some places was probably just a doctrinal, judicial issue, became very real for some people, and especially in the slaveholding states. And so when Anthony Bewley and his family moved to the North Texas area to circuit preach, to do the preaching he had done all his life, it became a very difficult and a very courageous action for he, his family, and his 8 children. Because I always think that Jane, his wife, was surely part of this venture. So they ventured into North Texas in 1855 and preached in Collin County, Johnson County, Tarrant County, finally settling in Johnson City, just south of Fort Worth. Later on, went to Millwood Creek in Collin County, doing his circuit riding. And I like to imagine that in all those hours of riding a horse through the blackland prairies of North Texas and the forests that existed here and there, did a lot of pondering, a lot of thinking. And it must have been more and more clear that the stance he took against slavery, the stance he took that said, no, human dignity is more important than economics. Some people would later talk about labor being more important than capital. But that stance, it seemed to got deep in his bones. And just being a member of that church, and I have to say, the Methodist Episcopal Church of the North, their statement about being against slavery was quite, we would look at it now, moderate. And in fact, many of them did not countenance the Underground Railroad, but they, as an issue though, were against slavery. So the very fact that Anthony Bewley represented a church and embraced that doctrine made him the boss among many other slaveholding Christians in the area. In the summer of 1860, when Anthony Bewley would have been in his middle 50s, the situation, the political situation around him inflamed itself. And he, who by all accounts was not a radical preacher, a man who spoke quietly, but who pastored faithfully, a man who in 1860 was the leader of the Methodist Episcopal Church that counted about 230 members all over Collin County, Tarrant County, those northern counties. The largest congregation in Bonham counted 50, we are told. So it wasn't a massive amount of people that he was the titular leader of. But who they were was what was so aggravating to those around him. And so in the summer of 1860, when politics around him connected with the Texas desire to succeed against those who did not want to succeed and wanted to stay in the Union, that politics swirled around him and all of a sudden made him a very, very dangerous man. Simply because he belonged to a group that said humans are more important than economics.